Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantosti Abhadrani Vidunoti Sahasratam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 22, verses 54 through 55. Text 54. Vijita swam dumarakesham hareksham dravinam rakam sarvesham lokapalanam dadareiki pruturgunam. Synonym: Vijitvasam, of the name Vijitswa, Dhumarakesham, of the name Dhumaraksha, Haryaksham, of the name Haryaksha, Dravinam, of the name Dravina, Vrikam, of the name Vrika, Sarvesham, of all, Lokapalanam, the governing heads of all planets, Dadhara, accepted, Eka, one, Prithu Maharaj, Gunan, all qualities. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. After begetting 5 sons named Vijitsava, Dhumarakesha, Haryaksha, Dravina, and Vrika, Prithu Maharaj continued to rule the planet. He accepted all the qualities of the deities who governed all other planets. Purport: in each and every planet, there is a predominating deity. It is understood from Bhagavad Gita that in the sun, there is a predominating deity named Vivaswan. Similarly, there is a predominating deity of the moon and of the various planets. Actually, the predominating deities in all the other planets are descendants from the predominating deities of the sun and the moon. On this planet Earth, there are 2 Kshatriya dynasties. One coming from the predominating deity of the sun, and the other from the predominating deity of the moon. These dynasties are known as Surya Vamsha and Chandra Vamsha, respectively. When monarchy existed on this planet, the chief member was one of the members of the Surya dynasty or Surya Vamsha, and the subordinate kings belonged to the Chandra Vamsha. However, Maharaj Prithu was so powerful that he could exhibit all the qualities of the predominating deities in other planets. In the modern age, people from Earth have tried to go to the moon, but they have not been able to find anyone there. What to speak of meeting the moon's predominating deity? The Vedic literature, however, repeatedly informs us that the moon is full of highly elevated inhabitants who are counted amongst the demigods. We are therefore always in doubt about what kind of moon adventures the modern scientists of this planet Earth have undertaken. Next verse, 55. Gopitaya jagat shreshtaye kale swasve chuta amaka manovagvrittibhi saumye gune samranjanya praja. Synonym: Gopitaya, for the protection of, Jagashrutste, of the Supreme Creator, Kale, in due course of time, Sway, own, Achyuta Atmaka, being Krishna conscious, Mana, mind, Vak, words, Vrittibhi, by occupation, Saumye, very gentle, Gunai, by qualifications, Samranjayan, pleasing, Praja, the citizens. Translation: since Maharaj Prithu was a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj used to please them in all respects by his words, mentality, works, and gentle behavior. Purport: as will be explained in the next verse, Prithu Maharaj used to please all kinds of citizens by his extraordinary capacity to understand the mentality of others. Indeed, his dealings were so perfect that every one of the citizens was very much satisfied and lived in complete peace. The word Achyutatmaka is significant in this verse, for Maharaj Prithu used to rule this planet as the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knew that he was the representative of the Lord, and the Lord's creation must be protected intelligently. Atheists cannot understand the purpose behind the creation. Although this material world is condemned, when it is compared to the spiritual world, there is still some purpose behind it. Modern scientists and philosophers cannot understand that purpose, nor do they believe in the existence of a creator. They try to establish everything by their so-called scientific research, but they do not center anything around the Supreme Creator. A devotee, however, can understand the purpose of creation, which is to give facilities to the individual living entities who want to lord it over material nature. The ruler of this planet should therefore know that all the inhabitants, especially human beings, have come to this material world for sense enjoyment. It is therefore the duty of the ruler to satisfy them in their sense enjoyment, as well as to elevate them to Krishna consciousness so that they all can ultimately return home back to Godhead. With this idea in mind, the king or government head should rule the world. In this way, everyone will be satisfied. How can this be accomplished? There are many examples like Prithu Maharaj, and the history of his regency on this planet is elaborately described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Even in this fallen age, if the rulers, governors, and presidents take advantage of Prithu Maharaj's example, there will certainly be a reign of peace and prosperity throughout the world. End of purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Supadantikam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Good morning everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to read from Srimad Bhagavatam and summarize. And I bow down and please beg for all of your mercy just so that I can speak in the right mood and the right intention and not add any of my own interpretations while speaking on this verses. So right now, here we are in the section, the last section of this chapter. So we have seen that the conversation started between Sanat Kumaras and Maharaj Prithu, and this was also based upon when Lord Vishnu had arrived at the sacrificial arena. He had given the benediction that he will have guidance, right, later on, like pure devotees coming into his life, and then they are going to give the guidance. And that is how, based on Lord Vishnu's benediction, the four Kumaras appeared. And then there was this entire conversation that happened where they started off with the karma yoga process, and then they talked about jnana, and then they finally talked about the bhakti yoga process, and all that conversation has happened. And then ultimately Prithu Maharaj also thanked them, right? And also offered whatever he could. And he said that I'm offering everything that I have, although I understand everything is yours, right? The Brahmanas really own everything. The Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas and everything, everybody are given the responsibility, but really everything, the superior topmost is the Brahmanas. And that's how Maharaj Prithu offered everything that he had to them, also understanding that none of it really belonged to him and he was just doing a service. And with all that, they were pleased and they left. And in the last section, from the sections 49 to 63, this is really Maharaj Prutu's actions as the king, and the glorification is done of Maharaj Prutu's qualities in here. So thereafter, after being satisfied and peaceful, Prutu Maharaj practiced bhakti by performing his duties solely for Krishna's pleasure. And then Prabhupada also explained about how Prutu Maharaj was so peaceful that he remained fixed in his devotional service. And then he had complete satisfaction when he did his services. So the self-satisfaction is a very important quality, right? Even for us, right? We have to remember that self-satisfaction is such an important quality for a devotee. And this satisfaction can only be achieved by pure devotees who have no desire other than to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead has nothing to desire, he is fully satisfied with himself. Similarly, a devotee who has no desire other than to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead is as self-satisfied as the Supreme Lord. Everyone is hankering after peace of mind and self-satisfaction, but these can only be achieved by becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. And we can also see in our modern day, not even modern day age, and all along we know that, right? We are always like trying to get the validation. All along, if you see, right, so many of the times, many of the things, it's like always constantly seeking validation, constantly trying to prove yourself, constantly trying to be up there or this and that and everything. All of these hankering, these material hankerings are existing because whenever we are not properly situated, and that is really the nature of this Jivatma, right? We are here in the first place because we wanted to prove ourselves to be different, to be better than Krishna. And that is the whole reason why we are here. So that quality continues in us. But the only way how this can be cut off is by serving the Supreme Lord. And also it is explained that how Supreme Lord is so much satisfied. So once a devotee starts serving the Supreme Lord, we also start to imbibe that quality of the Supreme Lord, right? Like being completely satisfied within ourselves. It is also explained that, right, if like somebody is in the bite of a crocodile, and if you try to stretch it, pull it all the more, it's going to get, the bite is going to get stronger and stronger. But rather the solution to do it is really have the mouth, somehow you can open the mouth, then the body can be released. So similarly, this whole material, the way everything works is like we get bound more and more and more because of all our desires and all our actions, and it's like a whole circle, and it is just keeping on continuing, and we live in this material world, keep coming back into this material world. And the only way how we can get released from that is by really devotional service, and that is the key. And that is again here, right, from Prutu Maharaj's pastime also we can clearly see that. And also Prabhupada describes Maharaj Prutu's extraordinary activities. So Srila Rupa Goswami has advised that the things which are favorable in devotional service should not be rejected, nor should activity favorable for devotional service should be considered ordinary work or fruitive activities. So, for example, an ordinary worker conducts business in order to earn money for his sense gratification. But a devotee may perform the same work in exactly the same way, but his aim is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. So, consequently, his activities are not ordinary, but rather it becomes devotional service. Prutu Maharaj's activities were not ordinary, but spiritual and transcendental because he wanted to only satisfy the Lord by performing them. Just as Arjuna had to fight to satisfy Krishna, Prutu Maharaj had to perform his kingly duties for the Lord's satisfaction. He did nothing while he was world emperor that was not befitting a pure devotee. Not everyone may recognize Maharaj Prutu's activities as exemplary devotional service. And that is the kind of thing too, like where sometimes we don't understand the activities of a pure devotee. So there also we can understand, right, from that section that Sometimes we tend to think that, maybe one of the ashrams or maybe one of the positions may be not as conducive enough to perform pure devotional service. But even from Maharaj Prutu's example, we can see that none of that really mattered. He was the emperor. He had the entire kingdom to rule, but he performed everything with keeping Krishna at the center. And that is why he was the pure devotee, and he completely exhibited those qualities. And Prithu Maharaj also instructed his subjects how to turn their work, their karma, into bhakti. And the four Kumaras also described how to apply these in the principles of jnana, understanding all living beings are eternal souls in the Lord's service. Thus, they also preached bhakti. Now, after all the instructions had been given and received, Prithu Maharaj himself acted in bhakti and through his actions dedicated himself fully to the Lord's service. And he also practiced what he preached. So, in this material world, a person is always thinking of the proprietorship of everything he accumulates or works for, right? When the fruits of one's activities are under to the service of the Lord, one is actually, we went over all of this, right? Practicing karma yoga. But when all of these activities are dedicated to the Lord, it becomes bhakti yoga. Now, Prithu Maharaj remained at home and used his opulence for Krishna's pleasure, and his citizens became fully satisfied by king's words, mentality, work, and gentle behavior. So in here, Srila Goswami, Jiva Goswami explains that Maharaj Prithu now displayed all the glories the Vandis had praised in him. Srila Prabhupada describes the duties of a king in fulfilling the Lord's purpose. Although this material world is condemned when it is compared to the spiritual world, there is still some purpose behind it. Modern scientists and philosophers cannot understand that purpose, nor do they believe in the existence of the Creator. They try to establish everything by their so-called scientific research, but they do not center anything around the Supreme Creator. A devotee, however, can understand the purpose of creation, which is to facilitate the individual living entities who want to lord it over material nature. So, the ruler of this planet should therefore know that all of the inhabitants, especially human beings, have come to this material world for sense enjoyment. And that was explained, Prabhupada, so beautifully that Maharaj Prithu could understand the mentality of all his subjects. In today's modern day and age, right? It is called like emotional intelligence. And, exactly that's what it is, right? So here where it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam that Maharaj Prithu had that capacity where he could completely understand. And he also understood that everybody in this world here, all living entities are here because everybody wanted to enjoy separately from the Lord. So he facilitated that where everybody would be able to enjoy their own personal pleasure, but however, guide them towards the path of bhakti. And that's exactly what he did. So one can no more understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by studying the material world than the personality and So that's the important thing. Nobody can really understand. So it is similar to like a small chapati cannot understand the whole characteristic of the wheat. We are like a simple part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and we can never try to understand the Supreme Lord. So so only thing how we can understand, Krishna says that one can understand me as I am only by devotional service. And this is given in Bhagavad Gita 18.55. So all in all, just to summarize, right, here King Prithu's qualities are being given about how he was, irrespective of him being the emperor, irrespective of having all of these responsibilities, he was pure devotee of the Lord. He was actually the Shaktavesh avatar, very much situated in pure devotional service. And he completely fulfilled all of his responsibilities and everything, took full responsibility of his citizens that were under his care. And the main important care was not just to give them all the sense gratification and all of that, but rather making sure that they all also understood the devotional service and guiding them all towards the path of pure devotional service. So this is an exemplary characteristic, what is being demonstrated as being a leader, being a emperor, a king. something again for us, all of us to follow in our lives too, because even in our personal lives, even though we don't have a whole kingdom to follow, kingdom to rule, but we all are responsible for our own families. We are all responsible for all our communities, right? So we do all play a leadership role in any of those small fractions of whatever we are responsible for. So all of these lessons that we are learning from Prithu Maharaj could fully be implemented in our own lives as we carry on towards our path to developing pure devotional service. With that, I would like to end. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo